Salut pour tous et soyez les bienvenus dans le programme Planète Équitable avec Eder Zanetti. I'm talking about carbon removal policies and how they can support sustainable development in tropical countries. You know, increasing productivity in tropical countries is something that scares Europeans and US agriculturalists alike. If you see what's going on in Europe right now, every country in Europe, the agricultural sector is turning against the European Union government and, of course, the national governments that are taking this assuming this goal of reducing greenhouse gas emissions by cutting subsidies that goes into the fossil fuels that are used in agricultural sector and then the purchase of machinery that will be using those fossil fuels. And the strike all over Europe has shown the strength of the agricultural sector. They might not have that many votes, so they couldn't say anything when those restrictions were imposed to them, but when the restrictions reached them, they give an answer. And the answer was they stopped the cities. They did a barrier all over Paris, which will be without food in the next 24 hours due to that. So then the government is asking for the a cutback on the subsidies, which means that they will be keeping going on. And this is because they are afraid of the production that comes from the tropics. They say they cannot compete with these conditions. They need the subsidies. So this is a lesson for tropical countries. You see, those are the guys that are paying for international NGOs to come to tropical countries and say that it is a crime to use our native trees to produce timber. Imagine how this harms the timber industry in the developed world. It's a crime to intensify land use and produce more grains, more fibers. This will mean destruction of the forest. What is actually destroying is their capacity to compete against us. So we have to be really very aware of this situation and look into alternatives that will generate jobs and incomes to our population and not depend on those carbon credits alone. They should not be the ones supporting anything. They are just an impulse for implementing sustainable development activities like the rural sector does in Europe and in the US. Let God's peace and the love that builds be our weapons on the daily struggle for justice. Eder Zanetti for tous les amis africains.